Hello and welcome back to the In Time podcast. I'm Joseph Marlowe and this is Amir Khan.
We're aspiring musicians from Birmingham, UK. If you haven't checked us out before, we've hosted some stellar guests last year. Ruben James, Todd Pritchard and Adam Neely, just to name a few. We've covered a wide range of genres and styles. Let's talk more about our guest today.
Yvette Young is a multi-instrumentalist who performs with math rock band Covet. She's toured the world as a three-piece, as well as having her own solo material in the repertoire. So as we're all stranded without live music, we thought we'd catch up with her. Thank you so much for joining us, Yvette.
Hi, my name is Yvette Young, and you're listening In Time.
I was thinking just the other day, Yvette Young, that's your actual government name, right? That's not a stage name.
Yes, this is
that's
my
government
given name.
Q first dad joke, but you got artists out there like DaBaby, Lil Wayne. Like, there's gonna come a time, won't there, when they're like 70 or something, they're not so little anymore, or they're not a baby anymore. I don't know if they're gonna.
It's true.
Are we gonna get like Yvette Senior or Yvette Oldest? Like, at
some
point.
I've gotten some photoshops already, so.
Have you? Oh shit.
Yeah, there's like a meme. Yeah, there's like memes of me being passed around just like an old lady playing guitar. I'm not even mad. Like, I hope when I'm ancient,
You'll be epic,
I'm still playing guitar. Yeah.
That'd be sweet. But no, there's also, so we want to talk about this as well, actually, your 2020 album Technicolor. But up until that point, dad joke number 2, we could have actually said that we knew all the lyrics to all your songs, but then you wrote Parachute, which you sang in. What led you to start singing in that? Was there did you just know this was a song you had to sing in?
Yeah, so I write stuff and I just I immediately heard a vocal line over it, and my whole rule for whenever I make anything is don't rule anything out. So I just thought it really needed to have this vocal line going through all the guitar melodies and stuff. So I was like, I'll just sing it, whatever, and I think it's good. I think definitely more vocals in future stuff as well, because I've been writing the new album. I'm halfway through, and I definitely hear some moments, but I don't even think maybe not from me. Maybe we'll have guest vocalists or something. I don't know.
So this is album number 3 then you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, I guess 1, 2, 3. Technicolor was 2. Technicolor was our 3rd release, so the next one.
Right. Yeah.
Whenever it comes out.
Sweet. No, that's exciting to hear. I didn't realize you were writing the new one already. I suppose why not now, right? Because we're all there's no gigs going on.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm already over the last album. I feel whenever I finish writing something, I'm just all right, bin it. We're done. I don't want to hear this ever again. But then, yeah, I think as a byproduct of being stuck home and not being able to tour, I've just been feeling really inspired to write and take advantage of this time. So I am I'm more excited about this new stuff than I am about our last release.
Well, that's sort of this might be the textbook musician, right? Because so I'm assuming once the album came out, it was just all about marketing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was just you couldn't do gigs, sorry, just doing whatever you could to try and get the album out there. I'm guessing that was less enjoyable than actually just because you can't actually perform the music straight away as well.
Yeah, I guess it's so funny because I felt I was so proud of myself. I turned in all the songs stapled, double spaced, put it on the desk, and we had to meet all these deadlines and everything in order to make it in time for tour, for all these other things that had been set in stone already. Everything's lined up, and then COVID happened and everything got canceled. So it's oh man, I wish I had a little more time to tie up loose ends and spend time on little details. I feel we did have to compromise on some things, and yeah, it's just I'm not gonna cry over spilt milk or spoiled milk. I don't know what the idiom is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try not to like think about it too much because I'm like, oh, we could have done more time or spent more time doing this, but you know, it's out, whatever.
Yeah.
On to the next thing.
I mean, it's really interesting because, like, I know personally, and I know Amir's had the same thing, but through this whole period, it's been the opposite for us. We've been so uninspired, so unmotivated. And we spoke to Adam Neely about it as well, and he described it as collective burnout. But it doesn't seem like you've experienced that at all. So, how have you found this whole period? You know, writing music and stuff. Has it been difficult, or has it just been simple as ever?
I've been so stoked because honestly, like, I feel sometimes I felt burnt out, like, doing my job because I felt like I was on a lot of other people's deadlines, and I sometimes feel like I shoulder the burden of all the work. So I was going through something really bad. So I think I didn't have time to deal with my own mental health. I had shelved that and just like become like a robot, an emotionless, empty husk of a person just to be able to deliver these things on time on someone else's deadline. And then I feel like, you know, I was just touring and never had time home, never had time to, like, you know, figuratively treat my wounds, you know, like never had time to recharge, never had time for myself, no privacy. So I feel like I was burnt out already, and I don't think the way I was going was too sustainable. Even if I wanted to lie to myself and say, yeah, I'm tough enough, I can like do this, but I definitely needed a break. And I felt like immediately when I was like, you mean there's nothing planned for the future? I can just use this time to make music for fun and like explore things that I never had time to learn. Wow. So I immediately taught myself how to record, and I've been like, you know, studying a little bit of production. And these were things I was previously scared to do, because when you're constantly on the grind and there's like a schedule for you, there's no time for play. There's no time for taking a risk, because if you take a risk and you spend time doing something that doesn't yield something actually productive, like let's say you record something but it turns out shitty, so you have to scrap it, like that's time wasted. And when time's a limited resource, you don't ever want to waste time. So I think I was just scared to like fail because I couldn't afford it time wise, but now I can afford to fail every day. And I do.
That's perfect. I mean, by the sounds of the production thing, it's something I actually picked up as well when everything just sort of went to shit. So I was just like, all right, well, gonna have to learn how to record myself. So, is it safe to assume Covet is gonna start dropping the 808 in the next album then? Start going like
It's so
sub
funny you
bass,
say
super
that.
hard.
It's so funny you say that, because I literally just finished a demo for my bandmates and I like sent it to them, and I spent all night programming like 808s over it. It's a club banger. It's like for real. I'm not joking.
Oh,
so
shit.
many prog fans are gonna be pissed.
Love it. I mean, it was I was actually just listening to some Chon earlier today, and I'd never read YouTube comments, but I just thought I'd read I was listening to Nehu with Masego in it. And and like people are just so conflicted because they don't know if they should like the song or not, because it's not necessarily math rock, but it's Chon, and they're like,
Yeah.
people are like, no, you gotta respect it. It's still you know, they're doing the best version of pop because it's still got some elements of math rock in it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so heated about this topic. Like, I think it's so silly to like stop liking a band just because they don't adhere to a genre. Like, the whole point of creating music, I think, is to grow. Like, I think every artist, nobody wants to stay in the same place forever. Everyone wants to constantly evolve and explore new things. Otherwise you just stagnate, and then I think you lose passion for your craft. So I don't know. I definitely used to be like, oh, they don't sound anything like not Chan, but like just in general as a music connoisseur, I used to be like, oh man, their new album's like way more poppy and it's like not technical anymore. But it's like, yo, I'm stoked for you if you want to explore that and like, you know, grow and try new things. Then like, if I like a band, I'm gonna support that band no matter what. And also I feel like Chan, I'm so stoked for them and the direction they're headed, because for me, I always thought like, you know, we're kind of in a niche circle or a niche bubble of like prog and math rock or technical music, and there is a ceiling whether we want to address it or not. Like, you tour with one band in that genre and you're pretty much at the top already. There's like nowhere else you can go. And Chana is amazing because, you know, they were able to play Coachella. I feel like they have like such a widespread audience, and they're actually raising the ceiling for so many bands in the genre, and they're pushing the potential of what we can all do. So I'm rooting for them all the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. John are absolutely fantastic. Me and Amir both love John.
Mm-hmm.
Back to something that we were just talking about, though. You're definitely right in that, you know, there's definitely like an elitist mentality in this style of music, and especially in jazz as well, which me and Amir are both, we like to call ourselves jazz musicians.
Jazz is can be horrible.
It can, yeah, exactly. And but as well in metal music and gent music and in math rock as well. What do you think it is that, you know, that makes this kind of music have this? It's not all of the fans, of course, but there's definitely this elitist community. You know, my way is better than your way. Do you think there's something to do with the music, or I don't know, just the community?
How deep do you want to get here? Because I can
Go
psychoanalyze
super
all
deep.
day.
Go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna have a stab at it. I think it's human nature. I think some people like this genre of music because they feel maybe like it's like this esoteric thing that not a lot of people know about, and it maybe makes it's like this exclusive cool kids club, and it makes them feel like they have some, like, you know, like cred, like street cred, tech cred, whatever. And I think, you know, being on the other side of that, having once been like, oh, these are my cherished bands and I don't want anyone else to like know about these cherished bands, I think it definitely is because people want to keep it like this cool exclusive thing. But as I was saying earlier, like, it's a beautiful thing when something grows beyond like a small circle, when something is able to, like, I guess, break through the limitations of the genre and reach a more widespread mainstream audience. A lot of people call it selling out, but I'm actually like so excited, like, because I feel like, you know, let's look at like radio pop. I think in general, I'm not going to say all radio pop, but it has a tendency to be formulaic, follow the same couple of progressions. It's usually written by the same 4 Swedish freaks, like, you know, like, it's just a freak. I mean that in an endearing way, like freaks, like just geniuses, you know. And I think that's cool, but like, it's not, no one's taste is gonna grow. And you know what, like, we're all musicians, we all like actively seek out cool new bands, and we're into like stuff that's more underground, but a lot of people aren't really active listeners. I feel like a lot of people are more, they consume music more passively, like, oh, whatever's on the radio, that's going to be what I put on. And I think the more chances that we can like bring kind of more I guess progressive, more technical, more like off the cuff music and put it in the limelight and maybe have it be on the radio, I think the more chances we have to encourage people to listen beyond their comfort zone. Like, one band I really love is Mew. I think they're from Denmark, but Mew's so cool because they do all kinds of experimental, weird, like chord progressions, and they have stuff that's odd meter, and they have like the gnarliest tones, but they're still poppy, and I feel like they do have like mass appeal. So I don't know, I'm super into that. And I totally went on a tangent to answer your original question. I think it's just people want to keep it like this underground, esoteric, cool kids club thing. But
that's perfect.
Yeah, I think a scene dies if that's how you kill a scene, is if you keep it like this, like cool kids club. But like, you know, any community, you want to keep on adding members and you want to keep on encouraging people to like explore it. So I'm all about like, let's try to get as many people to like listen to this stuff as possible. And like, if we can get mass broad appeal, then that's great. Everyone wins.
That's a like fabulous answer, actually. Like, I actually have like, when you said it's about like human nature, that was like, it kind of it made so much more sense to me, because it's something, I mean, this is me going on a tangent now, but I always used to think, like, you know, when I'm not gonna get too political, but when like there's a lot of like hate comments and shit like that out on the internet, you know, like just racism and all of that, and then people are always trying to categorize it down to race or religion or anything like that, but then they can't do exactly that. They can't just categorize it as like, oh, it's actually just human nature, you know. There's not one thing that's sort of any different with that. But I mean, it makes a lot more sense with music as well. But yeah, it was great to hear. I mean, with math rock, you're talking about a community and stuff. It's not necessarily something you have a local scene of, unless there is one in America or like West Coast, because there's definitely not one in Birmingham, I'm pretty sure, in the UK.
Is that where you guys from?
Yeah. So
Cool.
I didn't even mention it. Yeah, but I'm from Birmingham. Joe's actually from Birmingham, but he's in London right now. So
Nice. I miss it there. Actually, there's an artist I really want to, a tattoo artist I really want to get work from in Birmingham. So,
Oh, really? Who's that?
His name is Robert Ashby.
Okay.
I forgot the name of the place he works at, but he specializes in really like austere kind of woodblock print looking things, and I just want him to blast my leg. So his work looks painful, but it's so worth it. And I was actually considering flying out just to get his work, but obviously right now, not the time.
we're not quite at like Kim Kardashian, like private jet level of flying out just yet.
No, and I would feel guilty for like using a resource like that just to get a big parrot on my leg. So, but hey, next time I'm in town, I'd love to say hey.
Definitely. And I want to actually touch on that in a bit. Like, I've actually seen you live a few times, but yeah. Little story there as well.
Oh yeah. You were asking something before that before I hijacked the conversation.
Local scene.
Music scene. What's funny is I actually feel like there's a great math scene in America or whatever, but I grew up really adoring a lot of the British scene, like bands like Colour, TTNG, Tube Lord, Adebisi Shank, what else? And So I Watch You From Afar, Physics House Band, Zeph's Chasing Kara, or whatever. Like all these like really obscure, awesome bands came out of the UK, and I feel like they really inspired me growing up. Like I wanted to write stuff like that. I think you guys have a great scene. Like everything on Big Scary Monsters and Blood and Biscuits. That whole scene is so cool.
I mean, it's weird. Like I kind of wish it's always more of a prominent scene than it is at the moment. It's not underground. I don't think it's underground, like officially, but it's definitely not like something you can easily find or come across. I'm like I only got introduced to it like about a few years ago when one of my friends I used to work with, and he just sent me I think he sent me Water Slide by Chon, and then I just started going down that whole rabbit hole. TTNG, Chon. I'm just trying to remember all the ones.
Yo, have you checked out Three Trapped Tigers?
No.
You gotta, like, it's so good. It's like it's like a lot of synthesis based stuff, but the drummer is nasty. His name's Adam Betts. He lives in London, actually. He has a side project called Colossal Squid. It blows my mind. Like I've always been someone to dread listening to like drum music, because to me it just sounds like a whole lot of racket. I know that's such like a boomer thing for me to say. Like I sound like an old, disgruntled lady, but like to me it's just a whole bunch of racket. But Adam makes drumming sound so melodic, and it's so tasteful, and it has such great pocket, great groove. So I think you love Three Trapped Tigers.
Three Trapped Tigers or Three Tap, did you say?
Three Trapped, like trapped in a box. Three Trapped Tigers, and their visuals are stunning too. Whoever does their visuals kills it. And then Colossal Squid, and then one of the members in the band, Matthew Calvert, has like a trio, like kind of a more jazzy, also pretty proggy. It's like a fusiony trio band thing, and I think you guys would like that too.
Just found him on Spotify. I'm gonna have to. Any tracks you recommend, actually?
Engrams, and then 5, 11.
Engrams and okay, yeah, they're all numbers. Yeah. 5, 11. All right, let me just add these. 5, 11 engrams.
I'm so passionate about that band. I think they're so good. I don't know if they're doing anything anymore, which is a shame. But whatever Adam and Matt want to do, I feel like I'm always gonna support them. think they're brilliant.
I was like that with Eternity Forever. I think like it was such a I mean, the EP, I absolutely loved it. I'll be honest, I could not get down with the lyrics or the like, but it was like on a musical level. I got really into that EP.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
Maybe
I think maybe I think there was like a in band quarrel or something, or like some kind of, I think they just didn't get along, and it's a bummer.
That's such a shame. I mean, Ben Rose in that project, because he's in Strawberry Girls, I think, as well.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, and he has his own solo stuff, which is just like, it's just cool to listen to every now and again as well.
Yeah, he's very talented.
So you mentioned you picked up a lot of your styles from UK stuff. Is that like, I mean, pretty much every math rock musician will say American football, right? Is that American football for you as well, or is there like other niches?
For sure. I think like what I was inspired by was not like particularly one genre, but like I took a bunch of things I liked from different genres of music, and I was like, I just want to make a band that like embodies like everything I like about post rock, everything I love about progressive metal, everything I love about math rock, everything I love about the Midwest emo twinkle scene, and just like put it all together in this one chimera. But yeah, I think I was really inspired by bands like American football, like the Japanese scene, Toe, Light, even bands like Envy. I liked a lot of post rock, like Caspian, our beloved label mates. They inspired me a lot. And what else? Bands like, even growing up, I listened to a lot of singer-songwriter stuff, like Deer in the Headlights or Copeland, like the 2000s MySpace music scene. I feel like I was really inspired by that as well.
That's really interesting. It mentioned like you grew up on that stuff. Is that something that you were exposed to by family members, or was it completely self-discovered?
I think it's self-discovered because I was a total dork with no life, so I just went on music forums and looked up new things to listen to. Like for me, I was like, there's so much to consume, there's so much music, I'm never gonna hear it all. And like I think I had like an existential meltdown.
Of course, it's completely relatable. I mean I know what you mean. I mean, when I was younger, all I had growing up around the house was Guns N' Roses. But then when I like finally discovered my own taste and got past my obsession with Slash, I think every guitarist has that at one point. I still find myself going back to Guns N' Roses for influence every now and then, although I listen to them so rarely. Do you ever have that music that you're exposed to by other people when you were young? Is that ever found within your music?
First of all, I think Guns N' Roses are sick. I think they're classics for a reason. I think there's actually a phenomenon, I forgot the name for it, but supposedly they did research, and what you listen to during your formative years tends to be the music that you find to be like the best, that you feel like is the most nostalgic and gives you the most like emotion, and it sticks with you the most. So in high school, I think I listened to a lot of singer-songwriter stuff, and maybe things like I don't know, listen to like Dance Gavin Dance and like Fall of Troy and stuff like that.
Oh, fantastic bands.
Yeah. And what's funny is I grew up on purely classical music. Like my parents were trying to push me to be a classical musician, and I started listening to rock as like kind of like rebellion. I liked folk too, like Sufjan Stevens will always have my heart, Cat Stevens. But I think I started like listening to stuff that was not classical music because I felt like annoyed that I was being limited to that, and I wanted to explore other things. And now I'm here. I always will have a soft spot for the bands I listened to in high school, which would be your equivalent of Guns N' Roses.
I'm the opposite. Well, not the opposite necessarily. I think my high school, secondary school music was predominantly like Rise Against. I was like, oh my god, these guys preach the truth with everything.
Hell yeah.
I find it hard to listen to. Well, not necessarily hard to listen to. I'm not as interested with listening to them as I do with other bits of music, say like math rock or jazz and stuff like that. Maybe it's just me with like I maybe I should be like put myself on like that I am very smart subreddit. But,
no, I'm with you there. You know what? It's not like you like to listen to it now, but it's more like it holds this special place in your heart.
Oh yeah.
So for me, sometimes actually, I was visiting a bunch of math rock bands that I listened to in college. Just there's a band called Dakota. There's another band called like Arpeggiator, and at the time I thought they were like amazing, and they're still amazing to me, but I listened to like, this is gonna sound like a little bit pretentious or whatever, but I was like listening to the production and I was like bummed out because I was like, oh man, like this could have been so cool, like if it was just recorded a little nicer, you know. But
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, but like it's still special. Like at the time it made a huge impact on me, and I thought it was really awesome. But it is funny because you do grow out of certain sounds and certain aesthetics.
Well, this is the thing you mentioned, you know, you had classical training, but then you listen to like more proggy stuff as a rebellious way. But then we come across your solo material, which like things like your piano EP. I think you only released one or two,
just one,
which is very much like going back to your roots, right?
Yeah, I think it was my way of revisiting my past and being like, you know what, like I don't hate piano, even though I was forced to do it. Like I want to find a way to incorporate it into my current life and find a way to write music that you know, using piano that still has all the things I love about, you know, guitar music, I guess. But you know, it's funny is like, I don't know, I love the piano EP. It was really fun, but I'm already excited to polish the concepts that I was exploring in that and do something new. Yeah, I haven't even toured on or anything, but I'm like, I'm working on new piano stuff and I'm excited to do that.
I mean, there's two questions in mind for me with this, but I suppose the first one is with Covet you actually play with just your guitar, right? But like, has there ever been any plans to actually do the whole math rock thing on keys or piano and see what it sounds like?
I would love to do like a solo show where I get to play piano and play like all my solo acoustic stuff. Like I think that will be a really fun tour, but unfortunately I think all my solo stuff I have to make time for it because I write all the Covet stuff and all the time that I have goes into that. So unfortunately I don't have a lot of time to like explore any of my personal projects. So we'll see. When touring opens up, it would be awesome to do another solo tour.
Definitely. I mean, that's where I actually saw you when you toured with Chon back in 2017.
Oh man,
that was in Bristol. Fun. That was pretty sick. But so
fun.
with your songwriting, how do you find it? Like, because say you've had this classical training, right? So do you have like a very regimented approach to the way you do songwriting, or is it very much just sort of play by ear, or things just come and go?
Well, I'd say the only regimented part of it is that I try it pretty much every day. And also I don't let myself write new things if I have a couple of riffs I have to finish. Like I feel like a lot of people fall into a trap where they just have a bunch of riffs, but none of them are finished or polished into songs. And I want to avoid that. So I have a whiteboard over there and I basically have songs that I finish, I put check mark through it, but then certain songs I'm missing certain sections. So I'll be like, okay, today, like you have to figure out this section or whatever. But that's the only regimented part of it. I feel like the creative process is so mysterious and just, you never know when you're going to write a whole song, at least for me. The good news is I feel like the more you try it, the more reliable it kind of becomes. Like I'm at a point now where I feel like every time I sit down, I can at least come up with something, but it wasn't always like that. I think creativity and songwriting is like a muscle that you have to just exercise and keep on flexing and stuff. Otherwise, it can atrophy, and it's something that can for sure build up.
Is there any way that you'd say that you built it up specifically?
I think how I write is so non-theoretical. Like theory is 0% of my process. Like I never think about it, even though I grew up with piano theory and everything. I really do just like kind of like chase melodies and chase certain tones. So I'll sit down, and I think just through experience and just through playing with a lot of different gear and through trying to write every day, I now am able to hear a sound and immediately like know how to achieve it, which I think is something that you do just with practice. You know, when you first sit down, you're like, oh, I can't tell if that's a flanger or a chorus or whatever. But now it's like, okay, yeah, that's for sure a flanger. And, you know, I can sing a melody and I can like find it faster because I use a lot of alternate tunings. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of doing it a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you mentioned there that you don't really think theoretically. That's really cool because obviously it's great to have a fantastic musical ear. However, one of the questions that we did write down, bit of a jokey question.
Okay.
We put, have you ever believed in 4/4 timing?
Oh yeah.
And just off the back of that, obviously in your material, there's a lot of odd times, weird times. There's a lot of stuff going on. So if you're not thinking theoretically, how on earth does that come naturally? Because there's a lot of your songs that when we were researching, that we were sitting there and actively trying our hardest to try and figure out what was going on, and sometimes we just couldn't.
That's so funny. I don't know. I think it's because I grew up listening to a lot of it. Again, you know, what you listen to in your formative years informs a lot of what you end up writing, you know? And I think I really did grow up with a lot of crazy stuff. Like even like classical world Shostakovich, his stuff is so all over the place and sometimes is not really a fixed meter. Yeah, I grew up listening to a lot of stuff that wasn't in 4. And it's actually, I sometimes now push myself to write something in 4 because I think it does groove better. But I don't know. My process for writing is I'll like sing something and I'll play it, and it's totally based on feel and flow. And then later I'll reverse engineer it to explain it to my drummer, and then I'll realize, oh, this is like in 13, like, or this is like actually in 5. I thought it was in 4. My bad. So
that's
actually.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Go ahead. Oh no, you go ahead.
And I was just going to say, I think that's the difference between you and a lot of people's music, though, because it's never ever felt forced, and it always feels like it flows naturally, almost to the point where we're musicians, so obviously we notice it naturally, and we're actively trying to figure it out because of how cool we find it. But it always feels like it flows naturally. How on earth do you manage to achieve that?
Thank you. I guess it's my philosophy behind writing a melody. I sing everything. Like literally I'll sit here and I'll hum something and I'll like, it sounds stupid, but I'll sing it to myself. Even when I write a solo or something, I sing it first, like what I want the melody to do. And then I'll find it on the fretboard. And I find that tends to flow better because it's like, it feels like putting together a sentence or something. Like when you speak a sentence, it kind of like, it's not gonna just be in 4. It's like it waxes and wanes, you know? And I feel like when I write music like that, it ends up flowing a little bit more like human speech. And then I'm also not limited by what my hands already know how to do. Like I'm not letting convenience or habit dictate what I'm writing. I'm letting what I really want to hear appear. And I use my voice as my primary vessel because there's like no limitations. And then I translate this to my hand. So there's like a lot of telephone going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's how I write stuff. So maybe that's why it sounds like it flows.
And it makes so much more sense because it was actually kind of semi-answers the question I having about like open tunings and, you know, how you use them. But essentially, if you just sing what you play, then you're not going to have a problem with open tunings. It's just learning the songs and whatever. But I really like that, the idea of just singing the melodies, because I like when I'm just hearing your song now, I can hear like, actually, you know what, like I can actually hum along to this. That's probably the parallel, right? But so with open tunings, are there any particular you must have like you have like a lot of different open tunings you use, but are there any ones you like gravitate towards, say?
You know, most of the new Covet stuff is in that American football tuning, FACGCE. And then I do a lot of DID F sharp AE. But I'm starting to get to a point where I just want to keep in the same tuning all the time because I'm tired of changing when I play live. And I'm tired of also looking like a massive douchebag rolling up with like 4 guitars. Like I just feel like it's like a weird flex if I just have this guitar, because I don't want to tune. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of staying in the same couple of maybe 2 or 3 tunings for the next record.
So something you do with a lot of, well, actually all of your work, you do your own artwork, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so has art always been just a hobby, and then you've managed to convert it into something that you can actually incorporate with your music, or were you like professional artist? Yeah, artist is the right word.
So funny. I feel like music was my hobby. I went to UCLA, and I actually double majored in education and fine art. So I thought I was going to be an art teacher, and I was actually an art teacher before any of this touring thing happened. And music was just something that I pursued for fun. It still feels like something I pursue for fun, but it's now just there's more pressure, I guess. Is more at stake. I was teaching art for a while, and then I kept on having to tour and hire a substitute. And I got to a point where I just felt like it was unfair that I would just like be gone all the time, and I'd always have to find someone to replace me. And my students were like, "Where's Yvette?" So I ended up quitting the art teaching job and pursuing music full time. Truly, I think visual art and music switched roles in my life. Like now, visual art feels like my side hobby that I wish I had more time for. And music is the main thing. Even the feeling that it gives me has switched. Like I was just talking to my friend the other day. It feels like I used to get like a high from being able to translate like a drawing or a painting I have in my head and kind of convey it on a piece of paper. Like to me, that used to be like really meditative and super fun. But nowadays I feel like I get that same high from hearing a melody in my head and then like teaching it to myself and feeling it come into fruition into a song. But yeah, I don't know. It's all the same outlet, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's like, I mean, this is one thing I got told when I quit my job just to go to like a music uni college or whatever you might call it, but was like, you know, when you're doing something you love every day, you never have to work a day in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's yeah, that sort of resonated with me with that. But something even more nerdy that I wanted to check in with about like open tunings and stuff like that. Have you ever experimented with 432 hertz tunings or half sharps and stuff like that?
Yeah, actually, my friend was telling me about, what was it called again? She had this concept like just intonation or something. I'm forgetting the term.
Yeah, just
but
intonation.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. It's fun to explore how different frequencies can like have like a different effect.
Oh, just tuning. Sorry, just tuning.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess sometimes I'll tune stuff a little bit sharper, flatter to like, because I think it feels better. I tune by ear too. So not live, that would be too risky. But yeah, like I think when I'm at home playing and stuff, I always want to exercise my ear.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with the fact that obviously the piano is tuned in equal temperament, so there's 12 equal notes. But I think the guitar is I think like certain chords are slightly flat, like the D chord is not right, like tuned to how it should be tuned to the harmonic series or something like that. I don't know. Guys, go and check out an Adam Neely video on it. He'll tell you it properly.
Yeah, Adam would know about it. No, for sure. In the studio, sometimes I'm a pain in the ass because I think I have a perfect pitch or whatever. So it's like sometimes you know, I'd argue when I was doing strings, I feel like vibrato makes the pitch go like all over the place. And I was telling my guy, I'm like, that's not right. And he's like, I'm checking with with Melodyne, and Melodyne says it's right. I'm like, but trust me, it's not right. It'll sound better if you just nudge it a couple of cents. Please, for the love of God.
That's awesome. Sorry, go
for it.
I was just going to say, I didn't realize you had perfect pitch. Is that like, if you actually got full like perfect pitch?
I think it has something to do with my childhood, like being raised, like I played piano since I was 4. So I think just being able to like see all the notes and hear all the notes all the time helped with that. And then I think also there's something about, I think there's a higher statistic where Asian people or people who speak tonal languages tend to have that more.
I think we spoke about that with Domi, didn't we? I mean,
yeah.
I think so. Oh, about when she's talking about Do Re Mi and stuff like that. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who we spoke exactly, but yeah, Domi said the same thing. I mean, there's a big argument about whether you can learn perfect pitch or whether you're born with it. But both you and Domi have said that, you know, it comes from your childhood. You know, learning piano from such a young age. So I guess that can happen then. Yeah.
It's piano, and also just being sensitive to tonal languages, because in certain languages, like you change the pitch slightly and it's like you're saying a completely different word. So, you know, I think people who grow up with that definitely are more sensitive to pitch, I think.
So I'm bilingual as well. Humble brag there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I suppose you know, now that you mention it, like, yeah, when you say something slightly different in Bengali, like you like it's like you know, change the tone of it. It means something slightly different. But
yeah.
I mean, maybe more for comedic purposes on my end, but.
Yeah, it's something that it's funny in Chinese, like you can say bird or you can say piss, and it's just like whether you go up with the pitch or you go down.
Yeah, and I think this is when I suppose when anyone that tries to learn these languages will really underestimate how much importance there is with that. But I mean, the crazy thing is actually, and it draws that exact parallel, right, with music, is that you can play the same note, but it depends on the intent you play it with, is how you want it to be construed.
Sorry, say that one more time.
You can play the same note, but it's like how you actually deliberate that note is very much how much you like, how you want it to be heard. So if you vibrato it, or if you like finger pick it, or if you just like slap and pop it or whatever.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like timbre and like feel and like touch is so important for certain notes. Singing is like that too. I feel like singing doesn't always sound good. Just because you hit the correct pitch doesn't mean the singing sounds good. Like there's like certain ways to like polish off it's like the decay of the note, or like it's like how you kind of like slightly slide into the next note. I feel like all those little things make singing sound so much nicer.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, with your solo material, you actually sing a fair bit more in that. There's one particular song that actually there's always sort of made me think about it, but A Map a Stringer Light, it's like you released it like 7 years ago. No, it was on YouTube like 7 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And then you wrote part 2, but how do you know when to write a part 2 of a song?
I don't know. I just kind of wrote that song as like, it sounds like a continuation. Like the first A Map a Stringer Light part 1 was about like this idea of escapism, about running away, and like this is dark and morbid, but it was about like running away with someone and like dying together and in a beautiful field and having that be the last thing you see. But then the second Map a Stringer Light part 2, I think I wrote when I was super depressed as well, and it was about like, it had a positive spin. It was about like wanting that death, but then maybe having a change of heart, and maybe there's like another option. So I think the concept tied into the first one. So now it's just a big story about a bunch of people wanting to go die in a field, and then they're like, psych, life's fine, life's okay.
I mean, it's cool that you mentioned it. You mentioned how that song came about, and yeah, it clearly got quite a dark meaning. One of the questions I really wanted to ask you was, obviously, you know, you're one of the most present guitarists in like the like online music community. Is that right? Am I right in saying that kind of community? Is there any darker sides to being so prominent in that industry? Is there any, like, I don't know, whether it's mental health or the pressure of, you know, uploading content to YouTube or Instagram and things like that?
I don't think human beings were created to be more so visible and accessible. Yeah. I think the age of social media. It's like on one hand we're we're so connected, but like we're also like simultaneously like so like disconnected. Sorry, I just had to use a mocking voice, but it's true. I feel like you know, I can sit here and pretend to be all woke, but there's truth in that. And I certainly don't, I'm an introvert. Like I don't think I really enjoy being in the spotlight, and that I don't mean that to come across as me complaining, because certainly this is a gift. I feel like I'm so privileged to be in this position. I never expected my life to turn out like this. I thought I'd just be in my bedroom writing American football ripoff songs, like, you know, like all my life. But here I am, and I'm so happy. That being said, like I don't think I'm naturally suited to be stretched this thin, like socially. And there's been a lot of lessons I've had to learn. I also feel like, again, let's talk about human nature. I think there's some, you know, humans are beautiful. I think community is a beautiful thing. I think the fact that we can form that is awesome. But I do feel sometimes like at a certain point, for some reason, when some people experience success, I think not everyone's actually happy for them. Like all of a sudden you see it with people like, you know, supporting local bands, supporting their peers. But then as soon as like a local band breaks out and like hits the mainstream, all of a sudden, like some people talk shit about them and people like want to see them fail for some reason. I've seen that online a lot, actually, that mentality of like, oh, like they've made it, but like now I don't support them anymore, you know? And
Yeah.
that's certainly disheartening. I feel like having my personal life aired online constantly is also really frustrating. Like I'm not naturally like a super private, reserved person. Like I always enjoy being transparent and being vulnerable and real with people. But I think certainly what some people choose to do with information about my private life has made me feel like I have to be a little more reserved.
No, I mean, touching on your first bit about, you know, everyone's so connected but so disconnected. I can relate to that completely. I mean, the way I used to put it with people was like, first, so some of my friends that have moved back from London and stuff like that, or have worked in London, and like the whole thing is, you know, you're surrounded by so many people, but like that's probably the loneliest you'll ever be, like in London, because no one will give you the time of day there, which is like. I mean, actually, Joe, you're in there right now.
That is so true. No one batters an eyelid. It's so frustrating.
It's
Oh
frustrating.
man.
But I mean, like the whole thing, like I think people just forget that there's a person on the other end, right? With
Yes.
all of this, like I take more of an aggressive attitude. Like I really want to just put in the comments like you just need a slap or something like that to someone, but you know I can't physically go and slap them, which is the hardest part.
I think
Yeah.
it's people dehumanize public figures or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
gossip about their life and start like rumors and stuff like that. I also think it's like, again, it just boils down to people being unhappy with themselves, I think, and that insecurity. Like that's what I try to remember is like, it's not, it comes from a place of, it's actually like sad. Like I hope one day like they won't feel inclined to leave like such a hateful comment. They'll be like, wait a minute, like I like myself. Like, you know. Another dark side I was just thinking is I feel like these days it's almost like I don't want to sound cynical, but to me sometimes it feels like the death of like pure art, because I feel like everyone now, like content creators and stuff, like people make things for their engagement or for validation or for popularity, and they make because everything is monetized, because clicks are monetized, because views are monetized, like people are actually financially incentivized to create things that are more popular, that are you know, consumed by more people. And I feel like it's not that like you know, okay, we could go into another wormhole and to argue, is integrity important for art? I think it's not necessarily required, but for me, like I would hope that art has integrity, and I think that's what separates like fine art from like commercial art created for the sake of consumption. Anyways, sorry, this is like a big mess. I'm like mapping out my
No, I think it's great to hear it though. And it's really refreshing to hear it, like because there's, you know, you'll have a certain, like, there'll be artists that will just really bat around the bush and be like, no, it's fine. But I mean, it's exactly what you said about, you know, commercial music and stuff like that, making music for clicks. I mean, TikTok is literally the worst thing for it.
No offense if you have a TikTok, it's cool. I get it. You gotta live.
If that doesn't mean that, I mean it though. Like honestly, yeah. It just hurts. But I mean, the worst argument people give you is don't hate the player, hate the game, right? Like, but the thing is, like, it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be that you make a song so that someone can lip sync to it and do a dance battle to it.
Yeah.
So you market it that way.
And I understand that argument. Don't hate the player, hate the game. But if a bunch of players don't want to play a game, then maybe there'll be another game that's created that's better, you know, like, but you know, like, let's look at how, not to get political, but it's really hard to get a lot of people to agree to do one thing, or like even a simple thing like wear a fucking mask. Anyway, but like, you know, if it's hard enough to get people to agree to like want to take care of each other, I think in a capitalist society, like it's capitalism can be great. Like there's a lot of great things about it, but I think like people are more individualistic. And I think because the game is already there and because we're so deeply entrenched in it, and like it's like years and years of technology developing to be this way, and like, you know, the algorithm is already so smoothly integrated into our lives, I think like it's hard to find an alternative. So a lot of people just want to just play it because it's easy, because I think another option would be a lot more difficult, and I don't even have an answer for what another option would look like. So I'm sitting here eating my own words, like I wish there was something better, but I don't know what's better.
Option B is uninstall TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delete TikTok.
Delete TikTok.
You know what? Next time we're in Birmingham, I'm gonna make you guys TikTok dance with me.
I got 2 left feet. I actually have 2 left feet. I can't
No,
do
it's
that.
great. I've always wanted to make an anti-TikTok where it's just me like struggling, like doing everything really shittily and like off time. But I don't have time to do that. It's just
we were going to make a TikTok, weren't we, Amir? We were going to put the most controversial clips on there and just spam hashtags.
Oh, you know what we could do? We could TikTok to 7/8 or something. Like, this is how you dance to like 11/8, and it's just some really weird, like, yeah.
You know,
I don't know.
You know that band Drafts?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're from Florida. There's this video on YouTube of how to dance to math rock, and it's this guy dancing to a Drafts song really awkwardly, and it's kind of charming actually.
I remember my first math rock gig. Actually, it was the Chon one. It was the Chon one where you opened for him, and I went with my mate Alex. Was like, so the music is sick, but how are people going to move to it? And then, you know, once you get there, there's no concern because you just start moving naturally. But like, it's more so it's just like, you know, just nodding your head or whatever, and you just appreciate and like how good it is.
Yeah. I think there's no designated way to move. Like whatever you want to do. If you want to just windmill the entire time, like that's okay too.
We should be like avant-garde math rock dancers then. And
I'm down.
Yeah. I'll have to start hitting the gym, and maybe tomorrow. And,
hey, you know, like better to start now than never, right?
Wise words from Yvette Young. We'll quote that, and we'll make that the title for the blog as well.
Oh my god!
I mean,
going back to Oh, go ahead.
Go for it. I was gonna go.
I was gonna say, going back to TikTok, I was on a tangent too. Going back to TikTok, I made the only TikTok I ever made was I was on a Didario clinic tour with these French guys, Eric and Flo. I can't say his name, I'm gonna butcher it. But we all made a group TikTok, and we would just do really bad. I don't vape, first of all, but Eric had a vape, so we just made a TikTok where we did really bad vape tricks. It was pretty funny.
Well, this is actually this comes nicely into what I mentioned a while ago about I've actually now I gotta say this in the least creepy way. I've actually seen you 3 times in the UK, on 3 separate occasions.
The
And
first time was at a Nando's. You were eating a sandwich. I was behind a bush.
and that's what I needed. I needed to make sure that I did not mean that in a creepy way at all.
No, it's all good.
So, incident time number one, whatever the fucking word is, timing number one, event number one. What? Yeah.
Event number one. Yes,
event number one. Let's choose that. 2017, Sean, Bristol, The Fleece. It was fucking sick. And that you were playing your acoustic stuff. It was the and I mean, apart from this is probably something we can go into as well in a bit. I remember there were some blokes there that were just like, it's just misogynistic, but they were heckling under their breath. Pricks, but and then the second time was actually last year. You supported Polyphia, and you came back to Birmingham, and whoever runs the Covet Instagram page, I need to say a big thank you to them. Is that you, or is that someone else?
Oh yes, I run it.
Oh shit! Okay, that you literally saved my life. So I actually was trying to get tickets to that show in Birmingham. And I went on the Facebook event page. I was just seeing if someone was going to sell it secondhand. They scammed me out of it, and then you guest listed me. Yeah, you guest listed me, and then but this is where I messed up. So there's an Joe, we're gonna have to remind me. There's an O2 Academy and there's an O2 Institute. I went to the wrong one. I went to the wrong venue. I turned up. I was like, I'm on the guest list for the Covet show. They're like, no one here there. I was looking at it. I was like, it's just a bunch of like dad rockers just pulled up at this show. I was like, they must have a new audience or something. I don't know. And and it wasn't until I read the listing back, I was like, I'm at the other side of town. So I ended up like catching the like half of your set when I got in. But again, thank you very much for sorting me out with that one.
Yeah, of course.
I really appreciate that. And then a third time was actually the Daddario clinic. Yourself and Mike Dawes in Birmingham.
That was a fun time. I never did a clinic before. I hope I get to do more. I really like them.
They were. It's quite interesting actually. Like I'd listen at the time. I'd listen to more of your stuff than I had Mike's, but then we actually hosted Mike as well. And we released that a few weeks ago, I think. But yeah, he's a really cool guy. Like that clinic was pretty sweet. But going on to more legit topics, I guess. How do you find it? Like, playing live as like, a female in the industry and whatever.
Like, I think definitely there's some things that I experience that maybe my male bandmates don't experience. There's like a whole set of just hellish problems that I think girls deal with on the road. But all in all, I don't know. I think I'm optimistic. I think these days it's like it shouldn't be a huge surprise anymore to see like a girl playing guitar or whatever. Certainly in the scene, I feel like the math rock, prog, whatever metal scene is definitely like the most misogynistic scene you can exist in. So I think anything I've experienced has been more of a byproduct of that rather than like a huge world issue,
Yeah, for sure. And we spoke. Who was it that we spoke with about this, Mia? It wasn't Domi. It was Domi.
It was Domi.
I keep bringing up Domi. Yeah, she said, she every now and then she gets the odd comment and things like that. And it's more like when people get to the gig, it's like they're shocked to see Domi at the front of the stage, and they're shocked to to hear Domi owning it on the keys and telling people what to do. And it's like, what kind of world are we living in that in 2020? That's still happening when you've got world-class musicians running the show, and it's still a problem.
I think I'm excited to do what I do because I get to represent women, first of all, but also I get to like defy someone's expectations. People don't think I write the music. People always go up to my bass player or, and they like, oh, like your band's great. And he's, like you write all the music. And he's like, no, actually she does. So, it's kind of fun to surprise people like that. I have gotten comments like, oh, like I liked what I heard and I followed my ear, and then I didn't expect to see what I saw up there, like,
Okay.
and it's cool because I'm like, well, there you go, maybe it won't be such a surprise next time. Definitely have gotten kicked out of my own show before by security. They thought I was just like a groupie or something, or like merch girl, but I was like, I literally was on stage, like you should have saw me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think when I go to music stores, there's always, not every music store, because certainly I think it's like people are becoming more aware that this is silly, but there's been times where people had to explain to me that I have to plug in for my instrument to work, something like that, like no brainers. What else? Oh yeah, definitely. I think actually the most challenging thing about navigating the music industry as a girl is figuring out how to sidestep inappropriate, creepy advances from people that you're trying to just have a professional relationship with, simultaneously not burning the bridge because they work with so many of your friends and you don't want to have to make things awkward. I guess you could make things awkward, but I never want to make things awkward. So figuring out how to sidestep that without burning a bridge.
Yeah, but I mean, this is very context driven,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's very subjective. But part of me is always thinks like it's shitty of if you would say it's actually better if you did burn the bridge, like that other people will hold you accountable, or they'll be like, well, actually, yeah, we're not going to give you this tour, or we're going to deny you an opportunity because that guy's a prick, but you you decided to call him out on it or something like that. Maybe it's not necessarily in that sort of
Yeah,
context, but it's just a bit shitty that
I
people can
know.
do
I
that.
think it is sometimes better to burn the bridge, and I have, for sure. But sometimes also it's like I have to learn, which I don't know. I feel like as I get older, I just want to pick my battles. And sometimes like it takes more mental energy to have to think like this person's dead to me, like, or I want to avoid this person. Sometimes the better thing to do is to just make a mental note that this person doesn't have the best intentions, and just try to figure out a way to work with other people. But yeah, and also I think sometimes it sucks, but I think people in this day and age still don't necessarily believe people. Like with the Weinstein stuff or whatever, it takes a whole bunch of women coming out and saying this person's shit for anyone to take notice. So hopefully that's going to be something that changes.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we all hope so. On a much more positive note, you mentioned your bandmates there. Tell us a bit about your bandmates, because obviously you have such a stacked lineup. Everyone in the band is an incredible player. Tell us a bit about how you met them and what kind of roles they have within the project.
They're my best friends. Definitely my bass player. We're childhood friends. Like I've known him for about 9 years now. And drummer I met through my bass player, and they were childhood friends. They've known each other a long time. So I think the chemistry we have is just like a whole lot of history working on our side. And they're great. I write the song, usually 90 to 100% of it is finished, and then I send it to them and we all work together to like flesh it out. Forrest always writes really tasteful melodic drum parts that I think suit it, and he's really great at dealing with my drum incompetence. I'm that nightmare person that's like, okay, can you play something that's like bum 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 bum, like like not using any technical like formal vocabulary, and he still somehow miraculously understands what I'm thinking. So bless him. And then my bass player, he's great. He's like the pedal whiz in the band. He's great at like creating really cool sonic textures. And I think he does a good job of, working with Forrest on the rhythm section, but also, going off and doing his own thing as well.
That's perfect. I mean, it's like it's a nice little trio. I think it must be easier working as a trio than like working as a four piece or anything like that as well. Have you ever tried it, like adding an extra member in or anything like that?
I like our chemistry already so much, and I feel like we already have this system of doing things. I think I would entertain having guests, but I don't know if I'd add a full member just because it feels good, just the three of us.
Yeah, so like a session player almost.
Yeah, that, or like, you know, I have a friend who plays keyboard, and I'm like, you know, maybe she can come on for a song one day, or maybe we can have someone come in. We have had violinists come and play. Like, even though I play violin, I can't do it at the same time as guitar. So we'll have someone play the parts, and I think that's fun.
No, that's that'd be pretty interesting actually, seeing how the like how much it affects the live stage and the dynamics. Something I wanted to talk about actually was the very first thing that one of the few things we mentioned was about tattoos. You've got a lot of them, well, a few of them. What is it draws you about tattoos? Do you get them for like a certain event, there must be reasons behind them, right? Or they just look cool?
I view them as like collecting art. Like, as an artist myself, I feel like I want to invest all the money that I make from my art into like supporting other artists, because that makes me happy and it feels like I'm helping a community somehow. So, you know, I don't, material things like having prints and having canvases, they take up a lot of space. So I figure my body is also space, and I have a whole lot of it, you know. So I every time I go to a country, I try to find like an artist that I really support, and maybe their work touches me, and I try to get them permanently on me. Like, this one was from Paris. There's this artist there, and I was looking at his work, and it made me tear up because I thought it was so sensitive and just you know, emotive. I know that sounds probably psycho, but yeah, I don't know, it really touched me. So I wanted his work on me. A couple of times I've like been in Japan, and I met someone at a venue, and I'm like, let's like get tattooed, you know, crazy. So I would impulsively get some work from an artist there just as a souvenir or a memory. It's better than a physical object to me, because I'll lose that. And then also I've gotten tattoos because I've overcome something difficult, and maybe I feel like it's like a new chapter and a new milestone in my life. So I just want to get something to like mark it and remind myself of something positive. So a plethora of reasons.
No, I mean, it's a cool little take on it as well. I mean, yeah, hopefully we catch you when if you do ever make it to Birmingham, if we ever make it out of this tunnel that is COVID-19.
Yes.
But I suppose we'll start closing out there. Is there anything else you want to plug or anything like that? The Talman, everyone buy the Talman. Yeah, the Ibanez Talman. Buy me one, someone.
You can buy it if you like it. Otherwise, get something else that'll inspire you.
No, you have to get the Talman. You have to get it's the green one. You've only got one color, right?
Yeah, but just between me and you guys, I think there might be another color coming out. Rhymes with orange.
Oh shit!
Not subtle at all. Yeah, for you telly fans out there, I got you.
Sick. Yeah, I need a new telly, so I might actually get one.
Oh,
that's sweet. Thank you for listening in time. We've been your hosts for today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Please don't forget to drop a follow from whichever platform you're listening in on. If you've tuned in from YouTube, don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified of our next upload, and comment who you'd like to see us host next. Check out more of our written and video content via our YouTube or intimepodcast.com. It features educational material, music reviews and harmonic analysis. We'll be experimenting with different types of content in the near future. As always, thank you for your continued support, and I'll see you next time.